Starseed has become both popular and infamous within the spirit of this age. So today I'm going to be breaking down exactly what a starseed is to see if we can bring some dignity back into this term and destupefy it. The term starseeds is the modern name for what was known in antiquity as angels. They are residents of higher dimensions that specifically incarnated into a human physical experience with the intention to help raise the collective consciousness of humanity. Those that identify with the term starseed are not immune to the human experience in any way. They still have their own trials and tribulations, their own life challenges, along with their own karma and healing journey that needs to be completed, as well as unique overarching themes that are specific for their own spiritual growth and spiritual journey. There are so many here at this time that it truly is not even a special club. All one would need to do to be able to identify whether or not they feel like they are a starseed is to look within and examine whether they feel a very strong mission, a very strong purpose towards being able to help heal the earth as well as raise the collective consciousness. Essentially, if you truly care about the suffering here, chances are you're a starseed, because the number one way that you can recognize a starseed is they're very attuned to the level of pain that's inherent within this human experience, as well as the hypnotic forces that are overseeing and ensuring that humanity stays in a disempowered and unconscious state. Otherwise, starseeds can sense that something ain't right. Starseeds have gone by many names in past ages and even in this age. But as we evolve and our perception matures, more information unfolds into a larger context. Of course, there would be other variants of consciousness and other realms a being would inhabit other than strictly the third dimensional Earth school. In fact, it is quite egotistical to believe that humans are all that exist in this multiverse. Even though the concept of starseeds can definitely be used to manipulate the human ego into a false sense of superiority, in reality, starseeds are simply souls who have incarnated into the Earth life system from other dimensions in order to assist humanity's future timelines. Specifically, they are here to assist in awakening humanity out of the draconian future timelines that are represented by the military-industrial complex, poverty consciousness, and trauma-based mind control. The draconian timelines lead the human race to a future of authoritarianism, much like what was foreshadowed in the classic 1984. However, there is a huge twist in the way that this is achieved. It is achieved under the guise of love. The draconian timelines have understood the only way they will be able to gain the free will of humans to create their own captivity is through the guise of love. A false love from a false light that slowly enslaves the human race by making them believe that it is there to protect them. And so starseeds are here to share all of their many different gifts with humanity so that we align with future timelines where we spiritually evolve and access our power as source incarnate. The biggest issue when it comes to this subject is that the term starseeds inherently implies that humans aren't of the stars or don't have celestial origins, when that's not the case. Humans are a microcosm of the entire universe. However, to be fully identified as solely a human and only relating and resonating with all of the existence through a human identity is such a low consciousness state that what's really going on is the fact that the human form is in a state of spiritual amnesia, where they have disconnected from the higher aspects of their own energy field and their totality of their soul. More to the point, what we refer to as an average human are souls that have only had incarnations in the Earth life system. Because of this, they are called Earth souls. Earth souls still contain all of the information in the cosmos within their energetic template, but it is not accessed. If they were to begin to activate it, they could easily shift into new timelines where all of a sudden they have these future outcomes that suddenly exist, where they've had several lifetimes off planet or in other star systems. The reason this would manifest instantly once an Earth soul activates the potential held in their energetic blueprint is because time is an illusion. All there really is feedback loops. And so what starseeds are in relationship to what humans are is beings who have incarnated into the earthly realm and into a human experience so that they do not violate free will. If a resident from a higher plane of consciousness or a higher density truly wishes to be of service to their brothers and sisters, then they're already aware that they cannot stunt that being's development. And they would interfere with that being's evolutionary process and their growth by violating their free will by simply appearing to them. That's what negative forces do. They manipulate through all sorts of ways that have to do with violating a being's free will. But to truly be of service, those residents would incarnate as a human and then influence beings or humanity at large through the human vessel, through the human experience, because then you're not violating a being's free will. And so by doing so, that's what true love is all about. It's knowing that you can't just appear from anywhere and then be able to have people who are not ready for that reality or who are not at a mature level consciously to be able to accept that fully on their own and by their own right if you were to just go ahead and interfere with their own process. So that in and of itself is not honoring a being's maturity. It's not honoring their own journey, their own development, and it's not honoring, therefore, their own free will. So what starseeds do is they come into this experience, and by doing so, they go through the veil of forgetting. And when you go through the veil of forgetfulness, you are by no means superior at all to a human experience. You are human for all intents and purposes. But what you have is a very strong desire, a very strong mission towards helping humanity. And that's really your only guiding light. They incarnate into the Earth life system over lifetimes, playing out both the predator end of the spectrum and the victim end of the spectrum to fully understand the system that's in place here, so that they can best trigger people out of the hypnotic state that is taking place on Earth. Each star origins contains their own abilities, traits, and characteristics. They are a strongly developed facet of the all, with the largest celestial presence here being Pleiadian. Pleiadians are known for their charisma, ability to teach, and their emotional intelligence, while Sirians are known for being the Renaissance man, both masters in the arts and sciences, both sensitive yet stoic, both creative and technologically innovative. The list of starseed origins and their respective traits goes on. The only common thread each starseed group shares is that they can be considered both profoundly sensitive and eccentric. And of course they would be perceived as eccentric. They're effing aliens, why wouldn't they be? We care deeply for animal rights, the suffering of all beings, as well as infusing new, empowering thought forms into the human collective. We can positively influence humanity only by being a part of humanity. This is the way with the most integrity to the Earth soul's own growth. By the time we've incurred so much karma from lifetime after lifetime being in the human form, it's pretty much like the blind leading the blind. Only with starseeds, there's a strong remembrance that gets activated. And this strong remembrance connects them with their higher knowing. So that higher knowing will show up in whatever psychic capacities or gifts is their strongest. But this higher knowing is also what eventually allows them to break out of their current conditioning, as well as the programming that was imprinted upon them. So starseeds have a relatively easier time than most people when it comes to deprogramming themselves. So what's really typical is that a starseed will choose a specific lifetime to activate their remembrance. And the lifetimes before that activation occurs, their true identity is held in a dormant state from them, while they're incurring human experiences and while they're incurring information and data. Once they have chosen a certain lifetime to activate their remembrance, they set up certain triggers within that lifetime. And at these different triggers, they're being triggered into a deeper awakening of why they came there and what their mission is. Some of our missions are meant to be spiritual warriors. Some are meant to be grid workers. Some are meant to be spiritual healers or sages. And some are meant to be a catalyst and way shower in some capacity. So we all are drawn and compelled to whatever region that we feel our strong suits and our skills are most needed. A very common misconception is when a being believes that they are only from one starseed lineage. And that's because when we come into this life, we come in with one ratio that's dominant and one that's mainly activated. But through our own journey, we start activating more and more ratios. So we're actually not one dominant lineage, even though we choose and reside and resonate with one dominant lineage. The reason why we come in resonating with one dominant lineage at first is because the skill sets and the gifts from that lineage are the ones that are going to be the most relevant for our mission and our journey. But as we go along our own path, what unfolds and what gets activated is the ratios from all of our lineages. So as we grow and as we mature, we start embodying and activating the gifts from all of the different celestial origins that we encompass. So with higher dimensional, angelic-like beings, known as starseeds, being the stewards of humanity, naturally this entire paradigm got hijacked. And that's what we have seen within the recent years when it comes to the starseed paradigm. There has been a huge targeted co-opt to specifically dumb down this entire concept, as well as the people who consider themselves starseeds. It has been distorted and distorted and distorted and infused with so much controlled oppositional tactics and counterintelligence that this entire paradigm has become stupefied. This whole concept, along with several of the starseeds themselves, have been successfully targeted and co-opted until their frequency has lowered and lowered until it's been reduced into nothing better than raccoon talk. They sound absolutely crazy at this point, and it's because there has been a polarization that's occurred where they are polarized into the very system that they were meant to come here and to break humanity out of. So they got caught into the polarization, controlled opposition tactics that have now created fundamentalism within them, whether it's fundamentalism in one direction or fundamentalism in another direction. They're stuck in a lowered frequency now from the very system that they came here to help humanity transcend. So as you can tell, the biggest pitfall to a starseed is falling into the matrix that they meant to awaken humanity out of and getting caught in it themselves. In fact, the entire starseed paradigm has been intentionally infused with elaborate maps and elaborate off-planet groups specifically designed to groom the starseed's mind back into the matrix. And so what we see today is also an organic and a synthetic awakening that's happening. One where there's, once again, social engineering through elaborate prophecy and elaborate times tables, through off-planet groups, through different maps we're using, all through different concepts that have truth to it, such as starseeds, but are used in a way where it's being led down incrementally a false light path, as well as an organic evolution of consciousness, which is also being stewarded by higher dimensional beings in human form. So we got a lot going on. It's also very common for us to believe that starseeds are here for strictly benevolent and selfless reasons, when in reality, what we have found is that along our own evolutionary journey, we can only progress so far. We can only evolve so far until we hit a proverbial wall, so to speak. And this proverbial wall is that we are all one in essence. And so because we are all one, our own journeys, our own evolutionary pathways are actually intertwined and interconnected inextricably with the human race. And so because of that, we act as stewards for the human race in order for our own progression and our own evolution. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't care or that compassion is absent without motive. Not at all. But what it does mean is that y'all are being bad vibes. Stop being bad vibes. You're holding us up. I hope this has activated your